Alright guys, I'm back with another video. So in this video I'm going to go ahead and go over some of the changes that I've made. So for one, the Aimoffset is by default disabled whenever you're in an unarmed state. So if your held object state is set to unarmed, then your aiming animation will be the default GASP animation for aiming. So now there's 3 custom aim offsets in here now, and the rest of them still use the universal one. So this is a custom aim offset. Nothing real special about it. This is the universal aim offset. This is the dual welding one, uses the universal aim offset. When he's holding a pistol in his right hand and a flashlight in his left hand, it uses the universal aim offset. However, if I only equip this flashlight, then it's using a custom aim offset. And if I equip a left-handed pistol, then it uses a custom aim offset. So that's basically the rundown on that. Now, I did introduce, because of one person brought it up in the Discord, and then a lot of other people started asking about it. So Liz Morozny originally was asking me about fixing that problem where where the pistol jerks a bit whenever you're rotating like this. As you can see, it's jerking. Now it's going to do that on the State Machine version because I've only actually addressed this for the motion matching version. So this is the motion matching version. You'll see it doesn't really jerk like it was. It does jitter. I'm still not sure why it jitters. This should have done it, but it could have something to do with how the OffsetRootBone gets updated. And so the jittering was worse than this, and I fixed it. I've realized that the reason why I was jittering real bad was because it was because of the order of operation. So I'm wondering if maybe the OffsetRootBone that we're being fed from C++ on the back end, if maybe it's not a single frame behind. And if it's a single frame behind, then that would explain why we get that jittering whenever even after having taken that into consideration. Because like I said, whenever before it was jittering even worse than this whenever I was turning. And that was because I was actually grabbing the cached root offset that was being updated after I was performing this calculation. So the jittering definitely has something to do with order of operation and how old the data is. So it does still jitter a little bit, and I'm assuming that might have something to do with the way that they're updating the OffsetRootBone, because they give us they just give us one way to grab the OffsetRootBone's transform, and that's right in here. We call that OffsetRoot enum node reference, and that's referencing this node based off of the tag that we gave it, which is OffsetRoot. And we're calling a function that they've exposed to us called getOffsetRootTransform. So this is the latest information that we can possibly get on this. And this is blueprint thread safe, which means that this gets updated before the enum graph does. And as you can see, I've moved my stuff so that it happens after this, because inside of here, that's where I'm actually caching that yaw value here and then performing the calculation. And that calculation right here is based off of the difference between the last frame and the current frame. And I'm still interpolating it. So the interpolation, it could have something to do with that jittering. But I've actually sped up the interpolation speed to 250. It was 200. Only if we're wrapping around am I updating this, or am I changing this to be 200, which is lower. But when we're doing our turn in place, it is possible that this value actually could be greater than 125. So that could actually be what's causing that remaining jitter. I'll have to look into that, guys. So moving on, this, I did not mean to push that, so I did push that. Let me fix that. Actually, I think I pushed that. Maybe I didn't push that. Okay, I didn't push that. Okay. Anyway, so I was going to take another route here with that, but it ended up not being necessary. I'll explain to you. So in your linked anim set, you have your pose set here now, and then you have your aim offset pitch. So right here, you'll see I've assigned custom ones. By default, these will be filled out for you, because if we come back over here and we select this, you'll see by default it uses that universal aim offset. So take note of that. If you do not set this by default, it'll use the universal aim offset. Now there's one other thing you need to know about is, can secondary override the aim offset? So if this was for a dual pistol welding and you wanted a custom dual welding pistol anim set, and you wanted to have a custom aim offset for that, then you would want this to be true. Actually, no, because the dual ones are actually loaded as primaries. Okay, there may be some use cases for this right here. I have not yet found one. So if we come over, so with the pistol left, I have that disabled because I do not actually want it to override it. But you can override it, and by default, that's actually true. I should probably have that set to false by default. Yeah. So I'm actually going to set that to false by default. So by default, that'll be false. But if you set that to true, over here on the animation blueprint on the event graph, you'll see if that is true, then it'll update the aim offset pitch right here. And I'll go ahead and explain to you how this works. So these are anim sequences, and these should just be single frame poses. They shouldn't be animations, they should just be single frame poses. If we come over here to the universal aim offset, you'll see I have a blend space here. This isn't a regular blend space like what you make inside of here. It's not this kind of blend space or the legacy blend space 1D. If I can get my menu to stop flip-flopping. So it's not a blend space 1D. This is an in-graph blend space 1D. And so if I open it up, you'll see I can right-click and I can add new samples here. And it actually adds graphs here, much like what you would see if you were creating a state machine. So under our Yeah, under our animation layers, you'll see under the universal AO, we have the AO pitch, and then we have these here. And these look just like the state setups on state machines. And that's basically what it is. And so in here, I initialize it with a inertial blending, and I set the explicit frame to 0. It should already be set to 0, so this is kind of irrelevant, but this only fires once, this right here. Now, the update is what fires on a tick. So on the tick, if this changes to something other than what we are currently playing, then we'll change it and apply inertial blending. We can only use inertial blending from this setup. We can't use regular blending. So that's the only option we have as far as that. And that's basically what we're doing on all of them. So, and now also by default, if we come back over to our function, you'll see I organized this a little bit better now. It's not just one long thing going across the screen. So I'm caching our held object state and our unarmed gameplay tag. Whatever you've set that gameplay tag to be, that's going to be your unarmed gameplay tag. I don't see why you would need to change it from the default, but yeah, I don't know. I can't predict everybody's needs. So over here, we're just checking to see if both of these are set to the unarmed gameplay tag. If they are, then we're going to assume that they are unarmed. And if they are not unarmed, then we can enable the custom Aimoffset. This used to be enable universal AO. I changed it to custom Aimoffset because it made more sense now. And so over here, this right here will switch us back to the default GASP Aimoffset if we're unarmed. If we're not unarmed, then it'll play this one. And I should probably rename this right here to custom Aimoffset too. But I'll just leave it like that for now. Actually, I guess I could just go ahead and rename it. I don't know if this will break anything though. I don't think it will. It will, yeah. It broke that. That's fine. All right, so moving on. Okay, I'll have to push this too before I actually publish this. So yeah, the turn in place bug, GASP by default without foot locking, has a sync issue between the OffsetRootBone and the turn in place animation. That's what causes that jerking. That's what causes foot sliding. So I did fix that. It's not noticeable in GASP because I use foot locking. If you turn the foot locking off, you'll see it right away. So for 8 frames, it slides in place before we actually start turning in place. So I fixed that. The aim offset, jerking weapon while aiming. This was addressed, but it still jitters a little bit. I'll try to look and see if I can address that slight jittering. Like I said, it could have something to do with the fact that I'm interpolating in here. That very likely could actually be the cause of it, of that little bit of jerking, jittering or whatever. But it looks a lot better, I think, than what it did before. The aim offset, there was an issue with having no control over the aim offset, right? So whenever we were in an unarmed state, it was still applying the universal aim offset. That has now been addressed alongside custom aim offsets, which have been brought back. And so, yeah, some of these, like I said, are still using the default universal aim offset. Some of them aren't. The aim offset interpolation was refactored. if I can find it. Yeah, and so that's basically the only thing that changed on it right here. Also, I'm interpolating a float value now, not an entire rotator, because interpolating a float value is most likely going to be cheaper. The holster item on the slot manager had its item reference parameter removed. Right, that was a redundant thing that wasn't really needed per se. I don't think it was really saving anything relevant as far as performance wise to do it the way that I did it, but it was preventing people from easily calling this from outside the slot manager, which was why I made the change. Had an unused blueprint interface function, right? I removed that. Bug related to switching by index using the input keys from rifle to left hand. Item was fixed and replication was set up for them. Right, so whenever we would switch from the rifle to the left-handed pistol, he would still be holding the rifle. It wouldn't update that properly. It was also not replicated. Over here on the character blueprint under the DO slot input, you'll see this helper function right here that I'm calling on these instead so that we can update these properly with replication, because this gets executed on the server. This is basically the client. Only the client can fire input actions on their machine. The server will not mirror this. And so the client needs to tell the server, hey, you need to perform this action. And that's what this is. So yeah, so anything related to the slot manager, it has to be fired from the server. And that's basically it. Now I'm going to remove some stuff in here that I'm actually no longer need. I hope I wasn't using that. But anyway, okay guys, I'll see you in the next video.